So you wanted to do probates, targeting those leads. In the past, when you asked me about it, I was like, I don't do probates because I was not going to go down to the courthouse to build a list and what it takes to make that happen. Guess what? I'm just leaving my office/studio, recording a video with the guy that has the answer to make this easier for you and definitely me. So you asked for it. I always try to deliver. Stand by, guys. Let's get it. Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today is a day that a lot of you all have been pounding me about for years, and I'm like, I don't do probates. If it's not a simple air affidavit or something, depending on your state, I normally don't even target those because the main reason that in a lot of situations, in order to get a list, you have to go down to the actual courthouse and build the list yourself. Well, today we have an answer to that problem and more, along with training on how to deal with actual probate situations, because it's just not as cut and dry as calling someone up and, hey, they got a house for sale or blah, blah, they're calling you. A lot of times you got the emotional situation going on because a loved one has just passed away. You may have multiple family members or so on involved in it, and it may be a sticky situation. So we have an expert here to handle all of those situations. All right, I have my man Chad here from alltheleads.com, and he's going to share with you on how you can, number one, get access to probate leads pretty much in any county throughout the U.S., which he'll get into that, but also what to do once you get those leads and how to market to them and so on. So before we go into that, you'll be able to access his list through my name, which is flipprobates.com. But with no further ado, Chad, how's it going?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. I'm good. So Chad, man, just really quick. I know you do more than just probates. If you could just share with us, who are you, and what have you done in real estate? Maybe your backstory, how you got involved in it.
Sure. So I came in as a realtor. I started in West Virginia in ski property. So I started in ski front, $250,000 to $1 million condos. And I kind of saw the writing on the walls in 2007, went to Tennessee. We developed a water park resort down in the Smokies. And then 2008 happened. So I kind of went into survival mode at that point and helped the developer close over $1 billion in pre-sold real estate. And then I ended up moving to Maui and selling what was left on that project. And in 2011, I kind of, at 29 years old, I had hit my tolerance level for corporate America, and I bailed. And pretty much, so this represents that. But I took the better part of a year off to really make sure what I was going to do next was intentional and what I wanted to do. And I ended up choosing Southwest Virginia as my new home. So I moved from a median price of $1.35 million in Maui to a median price of $140,000 in Roanoke, and didn't really see how brokerage made any sense there. I had licenses in 4 states at the time, and so I stepped into the investor world. And wow, did I learn a lot real fast. But so I started wholesaling, moved into flips. I've done a little bit of everything here in Roanoke, but it seemed like 8 out of 10 people that would respond to a bandit sign or We Buy Houses or Craigslist ads were they had either inherited the house, had already cleared probate, or they were in the probate process. So I started to, I went and met the probate clerk, learned about the process here locally, and then kind of developed my system. So I put a team together of kind of the metaphor I use is a wheel. So I was the hub and the wheel, and brokerage was one spoke, investing was another. We had contractors, clean out crews, estate sale companies, social workers. And I started to reach out to the families to offer to help with anything in the probate. And that's when I really figured this out. So I quit being Chad the investor. I quit being Chad the realtor, and I just started being Chad. And this was the easiest business I've ever had from that point. So then I kind of said, I have 3 business partners in all the leads that were past clients from my resort days. And we got together and said, what if we could teach people this nationwide? Like, what if we could go to the courthouses and get it for them, and then take the system that's been working so well and teach it? And that's kind of how we got here. So I've had a real estate team. I've had a holding company. I've done wholesales, flips, portfolio sales. I mean, you name it. And probate's a big part of all those deals. I mean, a lot of opportunities came from that. And to me, it was just a niche that everybody seemed to be doing it the same way, like the way it was taught for 20 or 30 years. And everybody was competing the same way, saying the same thing, kind of like in FSBO expired. Most realtors are using the same script, right? So I'm a blue ocean guy. So I kind of saw the opportunity and said, well, who cares how everyone else is doing it? This is how we do it. And that's really what our company's built on, like that model. We've scaled up, and over time, as we see where people struggle and what the choke points are, we step up and automate or create a new service. So from getting the leads, to getting the phone numbers, to getting the mail out the door, to getting a website built, to getting your calls made, we automated all of that. We can do it end to end. So all the struggles that I had learning this and getting into it on my own, our service really kind of takes all that off the plate. So all you have to do is what you're good at. It's the people and the situation part of it. We'll handle the logistics.
Wow. Just one-stop shop, which if we're going to get into all of that as far as everything that you offer, but if you could explain why the niche of probates. Well, let's do this first. Explain what probate is, because some people, you and I are probably taking it for granted what it is, but let's
Sure.
Explain what it is.
So it's just simply the legal process of settling out an estate. And it's, a lot of folks think it's about the assets. Honestly, it's more about the taxes and the liabilities than it is assets. So the court oversees this, and somewhere around 90, there's 2 major exemptions to probate. If you have a living trust, or if you have a small estate, and in most states that means a total net worth of less than $100,000. If you don't meet one of those 2 criteria, you're pretty much going through probate. And a common misconception is, well, I have a will, I won't have to go through probate. Or, the family member had a will. It doesn't matter. That's the difference between testate succession and intestate. Regardless, if it wasn't a trust or it doesn't meet another exemption, it needs to be probated. So the court is more involved at states like California and Hawaii. The courts are heavily involved. Like here in Virginia, we kind of have a probate express lane. Like it's pretty much up to the personal representative. But it's just the formal settling of an estate to make sure that administration fees, taxes, all that's paid, and then eventually the distribution goes to the heirs.
Okay. Now you use a lot of terms there that once you go through the site flipprobates.com, you'll get over to Chad's and them site, which they have a glossary there and a FAQ, frequently asked questions section, that will break those definitions down. But you used personal representatives, you used testate and intestate. If you could break those down for everyone who's watching.
So, and I'll try to walk through a timeline. Would that be helpful too? That would. Yes. And this is going to be different from state to state. It's more of a chain of events than a timeline. So when someone passes away, that's obviously the decedent. And if they don't have a will, that's known as intestate succession. And in that case, state law is what the court follows to settle the estate. If there was a will, that's known as testate succession, and the will dictate how the estate should be settled. One of the pieces of that is the will appoint an executor or an executrix, and obviously that's male, female. So that person is appointed. If there was no will, then somebody from the family, from a priority list, which is usually a next of kin, someone will be appointed as an administrator. Now, if there's infighting in the family or there was no family member to step forward, then the court will actually appoint a public administrator or a fiduciary. So those are the terms, like as far as the person that you're looking to deal directly with. They can be an executor, an administrator, or a public administrator / fiduciary. Regardless, they all have the same responsibility and the same accountability. So the blanket term we use, because it's different from place to place and case to case, we use personal representative as a blanket term. So it's just simple to understand. But that's what that is. So that person will go forward typically always to the county clerk's office, and they'll meet with the probate clerk and file a petition for probate. That's when it becomes a matter of public record. What we find is nationwide, it's a median of 68 days. If you blend everything, like every case together, some people wait 10 years. Some people go the day after the funeral. But it's most people, the common behavior is about 2 months after the death, they will go file probate. And that seems to be, it's consistent no matter where we're working in the country. But people take a couple months to process and deal with it. And then finally, one day they have that breakthrough that's like, all right, we got to deal with the business end of this. So they get in the car, they drive to the courthouse, they go up, meet with the probate clerk, fill out all this paperwork. So they're making a mental commitment to move forward. And that's an important point in their motivation level. So up until that point, they probably weren't ready and they're not that motivated. But once they trigger this, they're in the mindset of, we've got to get this done. So that's where it becomes, in my opinion, a real lead, and where they're looking to deal with this. So from that point, it'll go to the initial hearing, and the court will they'll ask for objections for that person to be appointed. If nobody from the family or the public objects, then they will, they'll stamp their seal of approval and they'll be officially appointed. They're issued what's called letters of testamentary at that point, and that's their authority. So that's when they can sign a purchase agreement, sign a listing agreement, open a bank account, sell cars, deal with the estate. That by the time we get the lead, push it, augment it, push it to you, most folks are already appointed and they do have the authority. So we'll push the leads into the system, and you can trigger mail the next day and you should be good. By the time you're talking to them, they should have the authority to sign. There are some exceptions, like in Southern California, they seem to be a little backed up, and certain counties in Florida seem to be a little backed up. There's just a little bit of a delay. But you can still get an LOI. Like if you go on the appointment and you've got a motivated seller, at least get a letter of intent signed. That way you've got some kind of a mental commitment that you can go back and negotiate on. And then from there, it really varies based on each of these is like a thumbprint. There's just so many variables in this. So it can take anywhere from 6 months to over a year from this point. And it depends on how complex the estate is, how many assets are in there, how the family's behaving, how good the probate attorney is. They can last for months, or sometimes, go well over a year. Most people get this done around 9 months in most states. California is probably going to be, closer to a year for one to completely clear the process. But what happens, they provide an inventory of assets and evaluation. They provide a list of liabilities. You publish notice in the newspaper for creditors. And then throughout the process, their goal is to pay off the liabilities, liquidate or distribute the assets, and then bring a final accounting to the court. And a lot of folks get confused. They think the family gets paid first. The government gets paid first. So the administration costs, like if the funeral expenses were invoiced to the estate, funeral expenses, the personal representative's time for, the time they spent administering the estate, and then the state, local, federal taxes are paid, and then general debtors, and then finally there's a distribution to the family. That's kind of the last step of the whole process. So that's kind of from beginning to end, just quickly running through. I mean, there are only 16 states that adopted the Uniform Probate Code, and that means they have a pretty consistent way of managing it. Otherwise, there's a lot of subtle nuances. So everything I just said applies across the country, but there are little loopholes and nuances that are different from county to county. And there's 4 different types of court jurisdictions that actually cover that handle probate. So we try to teach people, at a high level, understand probate, and then dig in at your local level and learn the nuances. And for example, like if you're in Texas, there's something that's only available in Texas called monument of title, where you can essentially carve the real estate out of the whole probate and move forward. So you can sell it the day after the funeral, just carve it out and move forward. And even if the probate takes 9 months, the real estate was carved out and you can move forward with that. So the better you know your local process, the better you can lead these people and the better service you can provide, which results in rapport and trust, right?
Okay. Now, just so people won't be confused on it, when you say estate, in this situation, most people that are watching this, they're only thinking about the probate process. They're only thinking about the real estate part of it. It can include a lot of different things, and it can include more real estate than what you actually targeted them or called them about, as far as when you're reaching out to the personal representative of that particular estate. So just to be clear on that, am I going down the right path there, that it's normally more than real estate, or it can be?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, hell, Steve Jobs, his estate was probated. Like, he didn't have a living trust. And
Wow.
I mean, imagine the assets that he had. I mean, he had stock, he had life insurance, he had, real estate. I mean, that was a massive estate. So you never know. And I mean, we had a customer, it's been about a month ago. Every week we do a mastermind call. Your audience is welcome to join us. It's Thursday at 1 p.m. But on that call, a lady told us a success story. We have people throw their hat in the ring for a win of the week. And this one happened to be a realtor, but she listed 13 properties off of one phone call because the father passed away, owned a primary residence and 12 rental properties. And she got the entire portfolio because she made one phone call. So it can include all types of assets, but it can also include a lot of, guys that spent their career building a rental portfolio, and they're holding them, even if they're holding them in an LLC, it might not show up on probate record, but the motivation's there, right? If that person's deceased and not managing the portfolio, they're still motivated to sell. So we recommend calling everybody on the list, not trying to focus just on, because the data that you get with a probate record, you're going to get the personal rep's information, so their name, address, and then we give you 4 good phone numbers for them. You get the deceased last known address, date of death, date of probate filing, and the court information. And a mistake I see a lot of people make is they try to scrub their list and they try to take the deceased last known address and treat that like it's a subject property, when it's not. I mean, if you say, well, that person lived in an apartment, I don't want to deal with them. They could have owned 50 houses and that was the apartment where they were living because it was a nursing home. It shows up as an apartment number. So that's the biggest way that I see people cost themselves money, is trying to deduce too much from a spreadsheet instead of picking up a damn phone and just talking to people.
And hey, the reason I'm laughing is that when I was looking at the list that I got access to a week or so ago, I started looking and I said, some of these, the personal representative address is the same as the deceased address. And I said, I'm not going to call them because that means that's a spouse or somebody that's still living there, blah, blah, blah. And you just answered that's not the way to go about it, because
right.
Again, they may own, we can get into this because I do talk about this quite a bit. They may own, like you say, the apartment buildings or just commercial real estate, vacant land, hotels, motels. It could go on and on, just real estate types of properties that they own. And you may not be in the car business. Hey, they may say, well, I got a 72 Chevy Chevelle back here. We selling that too, or whatever. So
we hear stories like that almost daily. I mean, we've had a lot of classic cars, firearms collections. And I mean, you might not be able to monetize that directly, but if you've got a buddy that sells classic cars, if he rebuilds Chevelles, you throw him a bone and he buys that car, he's gonna have your back, right? And that's kind of like the whole team, like your contractors, your clean out crews, everybody. We don't really throw money back and forth across the fence. It's just if you're providing value to a vendor, they're gonna get you back someday, right? So. And the other reason, something I want to kind of underscore, the reason we say call all. So the model that I talked about was kind of the hub and the wheel. So if you're in the middle as the probate expert, not the investor, and you're offering clean out services, contractor services, social workers, senior moving, like it gives them 25 different reasons to respond to your marketing message, where everyone else is saying, we buy houses, we do this, we. When you're focusing your message on the people in the situation. So we understand that you have a lot of challenges, and we can help in all of these ways with all these different services. It gives them multiple reasons to reach out to you. And quite honestly, you stay away from the real estate conversation early in, because the people that you're competing with that aren't very damn good, they go right for the jugular, and they call me like, hey, I know you're probating the estate of Jane Doe is 123 Walnut Street still for sale. And they get the door slammed in their face, because the PR, if you're in a real competitive market where they're hearing that 10 times a day, their ego kind of builds a wall, right? And they find this pattern of, oh, no, we got it handled. We've got it. Our attorney's taking care of everything. And that's a false objection. They don't really have it handled, but they know that gets you off the phone. So what we teach is build this team around you, and you can do it in a day. You probably already have all the people, but you reach out and offer 25 different services, and you never know which one they're going to respond to. A lot of people respond to the cash offer because they're curious, but some people will call you because they feel like they don't know what to do with the life insurance, and they need to talk to a registered investment advisor. And that's the hook. And as soon as you get them on the phone, you can easily segue into real estate and the rest of the estate. But you'll be surprised what you can find. I mean, if someone responds and wants to talk to you about their stock portfolio, don't turn that person away, or don't in the back of your mind be thinking, well, there's no real estate, I'm wasting my time. Reality is, if you help them transfer the stock portfolio and reinvest it through your advisor, who are they going to have ultimate rapport with? Who are they going to trust more than anyone in this city? It's going to be you, and they're going to ignore everyone else because you're the one that helped. So it seems like, I think for folks that are new to our model and what we teach, it seems kind of overwhelming. But the reality is, man, you can get a contractor, a clean out crew, an estate sale company, a moving company. You can get all this in place. If you had a $50,000 check, a wholesale check on your desk, how long would it take you to build that dream team? Like, you have to have the team before you can cash it. You'd have it before the sunset, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's not a whole lot of work to put the team together, but what the result is this, it's the perception of this vertically integrated business. And I've been on appointments and people are like, man, your office must be the size of Walmart. Where are you guys? Because they think all of this stuff is in one building. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want in the beginning. We want to stand out and really differentiate ourselves from the other guys. And then once we're in the conversation and we offer to help them in all these ways, there are no other guys. There is no competition. Wow. And that's so and you bring up the spouse, like the very first deal the first probate deal I did right, like when it was just like smooth as butter and like everything fell together and it was like the click for me, was I sent a lady, I pulled a list of, and this was just an idea. I'd been doing like absentee and different lists. And I said, well, what if I pull a list? I read the NAR study of home buyers and sellers. And it said, here's the demographics and the statistics of home sellers and home buyers. And at that time, it was in 2012, the average American sold their moved to the new primary residence every 9 years. So I went to ListSource, pulled a list of homes that haven't transferred for more than 9 years that had at least 50% equity, and mailed. And don't do that list. It was horrible. Like, most of those people didn't want to sell, and they were opinionated. But this one in particular, lady called and said, I'll die here. Don't ever send me another letter. And I said, yes, ma'am. And I took her off the list. 60 days later, her daughter called me frantic, and her mother had a stroke and had no plan. Her plan was to die in that house, but life had a different plan. And her daughter was just lost. She didn't know where to go. And within about 3 hours, I was at the house, presented her with a cash offer, and I gave her 4 options. And this is kind of bringing all this together. When you can provide all these services, you can provide real options. So I sat down with her and I said, all right, here's everything I know based on your situation. I'll give you 80 grand right now. We'll close within 2 to 3 days when title comes back, and you'll have money to get your mom from the nursing home into rehab. Option 2 is we'll sell it as is, where is. I can probably find a landlord that'll pay $100 for this house. It's going to take me some time, 30 to 45 days. Option 3 is we go conventional. Let me bring my contractor in. We'll put about $5,000 to work into place, and then we'll go with a conventional listing. Give me 60 to 90 days for everything. And then option 4 was a lease with option to purchase. The house was free and clear, and time and equity were both equally important to her. So I said, we'll do option 3, but we'll sell it on terms, not on price. We won't negotiate. And we ended up, I ended up selling the furniture. We got $5,000 for the furniture. I spent $2,500 in paint and just quick cosmetic rehab. And ended up we took an $8,000 option fee, $1,100 a month, first month, last month, and put them in a lease with option to purchase at full price. So we netted her $25,000 in a matter of about 3 days, so she could get her mother out of the nursing home and into rehab. And then we closed it up as a lease option. I think it was a pair of retired Navy veterans that forgot to pay their last utility bill in Pennsylvania. And then the other 3 buyers that didn't get that house, I turned into conventional buyers and did deals with them over the next probably 3 months. So that was all because I called a surviving spouse. I reached out. And so I would say, if you look on alltheleads.com under the blog, you'll see a series called Tips from the Trainer. And there's a video on there where I talk about why you should call the surviving spouse and how do you approach it. And it just takes a little more. Empathy is key, right? And I believe that in any lead type, even if you're doing vacant or absentee. Empathy for the situation is what builds rapport and gets you into these conversations. So don't try to guess too much. Pick up the phone and focus on people and situation, and you'll be amazed at how many opportunities are actually in here. We've had, I think that probably the craziest one, we had a lady in California she was in Southern California. And she called and they said, no, mom and dad didn't really have anything, but we do have this family hotel up in Northern California. It was a $58 million hotel, like on a cliff somewhere I don't remember where it was, but she got like a $58 million commercial deal out of it. We had a guy in Nebraska get like an $8 million commercial out parcel because a highway was splitting a farm, and he sold that farm for like 8 or 8.5. We have guys in Central Ohio, like they'll buy a farm and then subdivide it. They'll take private money and put in curb and gutter, subdivide, and they're making $1 million on a deal. And it's all because they don't they don't look for 123 Walnut Street, or that's not my zip code, or these people don't deserve my help, or they focus on people and actually helping. And that's where all these opportunities come from all directions, man. If you can get in that mindset.
Oh, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. You mentioned all the services that you would need, all that really you're just outsourcing the individuals. Go through building that team that you need as far as the number of people you may need, and just being able to just have relationships with a realtor, move out crew, a contractor, so a financial advisor, services guy. So just go through those.
Sure. So, and this is one of those things that you never finish this, right? There's always somebody. There's always someone from the community. When you learn something, you're like, oh, okay, I can add that. I can add that as an arrow in the quiver. So, but kind of a basic team. If you're again, you're in the middle as kind of the hub. You should have cash buyers, whether that's you or your buyers list. You should have at least one good realtor that understands investing and understands that when you toss them a deal, you expect something back. Like, they need to either give you a marketing fee, or they need to toss you a deal, let give you a line on something. But you leave a lot of money on the table if you don't have a license, or you don't have someone that's you're working close with that does have a license. And I mean, quite honestly, like 90% of these are going to go like an as is or conventional sale. 10% of them will be wholesale deals, like wholesale priced. So why leave 90% of the opportunity on the table? Go partner with a realtor that understands this and can get things done without being babysat. Next is contractors. That's pretty obvious. So if the family has money, they want to invest in the home, then you can get your contractor some work and raise the equity in the home. And then ultimately, if you're strictly investing, you don't get to monetize that deal. But if you get a contractor in there, they fix it up. You got work for your contractor. You kept him busy and fed. You get a listing for your realtor, and then that realtor gives you a kickback as a marketing fee, or, throws you another deal somewhere. Beyond that, senior moving companies, when you have, especially a surviving spouse situation where, a husband passes away, the wife just can't deal with the property. She can't take care of it, can't keep up now that she's on a single income, can't keep up with the finances. Then what if, instead of her saying, come back in 6 months whenever I figure out where I'm going to live, what if you go to the nursing home, to the retirement community, to the social worker, find her a suitable place to live, get a senior moving company lined up to get her stuff packed and moved properly, find a climate-controlled self-storage place to put what she can't fit in her new patio home or nursing home room. And, you bring that team of people together. They do all the work. All you're doing is introducing them, but you get the credit for it. So they do the work, you get the credit. Other things are, financial advisors. I prefer to work with registered investment advisors because they have a fiduciary responsibility where most don't. That one that came up last week, it's kind of an up and coming industry. There's a new kind of industry called, I forget the name of the company. There's a national company. They focus on their services, caregiver service. So they help connect you with hospice and with other social programs and things that can help folks in that end of life phase. So they can let you know when a family's struggling, they need to sell the house because they can't afford to have, the care that they need. If that person understands what you do, they come to you first. So that's upstream of probate. Like, a lot of these team members can feed you deals before a death ever occurs. Your financial advisors, family law attorneys, probate attorneys, like, these are folks that have contact with folks in that stage of life before a death occurs. And as long as they understand you have this kind of, vertically integrated solution to help families in those transitional periods, then you get those phone calls. It's kind of a never ending list, like stagers, photographers, and you name it, anyone that could help get a house emptied out, get personal property sold, real property sold, improve the value of real property. Appraisers, it's you, but as a basic team, a cash buyer, a realtor, a contractor, a clean out crew will get you through 90, and an estate sale company, that'll get you through 90% of deals. And I'll say I've probably never used more than 2 of those positions on any single deal, but I talk about each of those positions on almost every deal and it makes a big difference. When you can do one thing, you can pay cash for a house. That's impressive to some people. But when I come in behind you and I can pay cash for the house, I can offer all these other services and take care of your family member and do it all with one phone call. That's impactful, right? So you can build your basic team, and a lot of folks struggle with they don't want to get started until they've built this big dream team, and that's a mistake. Like, get started. Like I said earlier, if you got a $50,000 deal on paper, and you have to get all the cars taken off property, sold, and get buildings torn down or whatever, you're going to find those people today. Like, if you have to be at Home Depot handing out free lunch, you're going to find a contractor that can do that work, right? So don't let it keep you from getting started. Just know that the more spokes you have in that wheel, the more partners you have and services you can offer, the more conversations you're going to have, and the more conversations you have, the more deals you're going to do and checks you're going to cash.
Okay, so let's get into what we're here for. All the services that you're on. Again, guys, you can access all these services, and Chad is going to really break this down to you, how they can make this a lot. I don't like to use the word easy, but that's the only way I can explain easier. Not saying it's not still going to be hard, because you still got to put the work in, but they can make the process easier. They'll have a lot of support. But let's just get down to, if you access through flipprobates.com, you get over there to Chad's site. Break down what you all offer as far as the services when it comes to probates.
Sure. If it's all right with you, I'll tell everybody how to do it on their own, like the manual way, and then it makes a little more sense why we do what we do, how we do it. So if you want to do this on your own, you take, in most courthouses, it's still pen and paper. Like here, unless you're a member of the bar, you can't get a phone or an iPad or anything in. So You go into the county clerk's office, you go to the records room, you're pulling the petition, like, so you're looking for the petition for probate, and you're pen and paper that. So you're writing all this information. I think we have 59 in the data. There's like 59 columns. So you've got several hours of work just to get the data. And you come back, you have to find a place to skip trace and get valid phone numbers. We have 95% valid phone numbers as verified through our call center. We've worked really hard to get that system in place, but you can go to Spokio and Tellius and probably get 50-60% accuracy. But so once you get the public data, you have to skip trace it, find phone numbers for the personal representative. Then you've got to set up your letters, set up the mail merge, find the printer that will print envelopes. We do a greeting card envelope with a live first class stamp and handwritten, or get up, set a relationship with another mail company to do that for you. Then you've got to figure out what the heck you're doing in this. Like, what do you say? How do you get these conversations started? What can you offer? And then you have to repeat that every month. And if you're sending 3 letters, then in month 3, you're actually managing 9 letters, and you're following each letter with a phone call. So you end up with 9 letters floating around out there, 9 phone calls, all this stuff's on your calendar, and eventually it starts falling through the cracks. Ask me how I know. So we initially just started selling probate leads, and we realized that there was a much bigger need there. Like, the lead was just one of the problems. The other problem was getting the work done, right? So the way our system is built now, and it's still evolving, but we send our researcher to the courthouse to do that work for you. When they enter that data into our database, and we go out with our proprietary system and we augment and add 4 phone numbers for the personal representative. And as I said, we're about 95% accuracy on those. So you will get them on the phone. Once the phone numbers are added, it gets pushed into a CRM that's designed just for this kind of data. So it's designed to save you time and money. If someone says, I'm not interested, there's no house, there's a button you click and it opts them out. So next time you don't call them, next time you don't pay for a letter. So you're saving money as you go throughout the campaign sequence. So you'll get an email that says, hey, you've got leads. You log in, they're right there in the CRM. If you care, we scrub all the numbers against DNC, national, state, and known litigant databases. So you won't get in hot water if you're telemarketing and worried about do not call. So all that stuff kind of happens automatically behind the scenes. So when you log in, let's just say it's your very first day, you'll log in, you'll see your list of leads from that month or that county. You have fast track training, which kind of gets you started on explaining what probate is and what a marketing campaign should look like. Next step is getting your letters set up. So we've got proven letters that I've spent tens of thousands of dollars figuring out what letters work and what don't. And what you'll see in our online editor are the ones that worked. Those are letters that have made millions and millions of dollars in all 50 states. So you upload that, edit it, get your name on it, get your logo into it if you want, customize it any way you'd like. Set up a sequence. So in our order form, you say letter, phone call, letter, phone call, letter, phone call, and click autopilot. You never do it again. So if you do that, so we have obviously the mailing service. We have an ISA center where we make your phone calls for you. We build custom WordPress websites that have all this kind of overwhelming amount of information about probate. It really gives you credibility. And then I do a monthly training called Probate Mastery, where we have a national certification. If you really want to go deep and get into especially like for investors, like we cover a lot of really creative things. Like I told you about the deal where I did the lease options. We cover a lot of stuff like that. So this is all kind of rolled into one. So if you're a subscriber, you get an email that says, hey, your leads came in, you'd gone in, you set up your letter, you had your phone calls ordered. Then what happens is that your leads hit the database, that fires an order to the mail house. Mail fulfills, that fires an order to the ISA center. ISA center starts calling, and you start getting text messages and emails with your appointments. And that's all you have to do. So in the very beginning, you set it up, you click autopilot, and from then on, we'll manage all the logistics and everything. So the leads are coming from the courthouse. We're getting phone numbers. We're putting them into a piece of software that's connected to the mail house. The mail is going to make sure that when it goes, the calls are made. And in 30 days, the whole thing's going to repeat itself. And you can be out there talking to people doing deals versus stuffing envelopes, hanging out at the courthouse, trying to gather data and do all this. And if you figure out the opportunity cost and doing all that manually, it's pretty easy to see what, and we, you know, because we offer so much, we keep our margins as low as possible. So it's really hard for you if you're already into the paychecks. You figure out what an hour of your time is worth, and the 5, 6, 10 hours a month it's going to take you just to get the data and do this campaign. It's probably the opportunity cost will probably more than pay for what our system costs in your county. I made it twice. I went through this manual cycle 2 times, and then this company was born. My partner Jim down in Fort Lauderdale, he was also working in probate at the time, and we got together and said, "There's got to be a better way, man." And it's a very tedious process if you do it all on your own, but you can do it. If you're just getting started, you know, you can go get the leads for free. You can go skip trace numbers for a few bucks. You can get your letters out for 60, 70 cents a piece. But you've got to figure out how much opportunity are you missing by doing all that. And that's really what the big value in our system is, just beating the learning curve and the logistics. So we take all those steps out of it, where all you have to do is log in and look at your leads, and we've handled everything else.
Wow. Okay. So basically, again, as I mentioned before, it's a one-stop shop. And the cost, it'll vary, which we won't really get in there because it's just going to vary so much depending on the counties that you target. And you, I know you limit the number of people that can have access to a list for a particular county. If you can go into that for us.
Sure. In most counties, we're only selling to 3 subscribers. What we don't want to do is sell the list 100 times and have you competing with 99 people. It was an ethical call that we made in the beginning. We could certainly, there's some counties where we could probably have 200 subscribers and we have 3. The exceptions are like Phoenix, LA, Chicago. Those are just such massive counties, like Cook County and Maricopa and LA. Nobody's going to drive all the way from one side of the county to the other. Like it's just not feasible. So we've carved those up into smaller sections. And you'll see if you go to the check your county, you'll see how many leads we're getting in your county, and that's an average of the last 3 months. And pricing is anywhere from $200 to $1,700. It really depends on every county is different, because we have to pay. We pay a researcher for mileage, and sometimes we have to pay even to get into the records room. So there's a lot of variance in cost. What you'll find on that page is how many leads we're getting on average. And then someone from our team will call you, or you can call us, and we'll let you know exactly what's available there and what the cost is.
Okay, so for the most part, once someone decides to sign up, how fast can they actually get going, depending on if they just want a list or they want all of the other additional services or a piece of the services in addition to the list? What's the normal process once someone decides to sign up and actually, initiate the membership, with payment?
Sure. So in most counties, we already have a researcher activated and we're already gathering it. Worst case scenario is we've never gathered data from that courthouse. In that case, we'll have to go activate a researcher, get them out there, get the data back. It could be like 10 business days, as long as it will take us to kind of do the turnaround. For most counties, we're going every 30 days too. But, we literally every day of the week, we have data coming in, because we're not going to every courthouse on the 15th. We're going to every, courthouses every day nationwide. So it's kind of a staggered schedule. So if you sign up on the 5th, if you get your first set of leads on the 15th, and you'll get your next set around the 15th of the next month. If you're on the 1st, then you'll get them around the 1st of next month. So if you sign up today, you kind of have a choice to make. Do you want, let's just say today's April 1st, and let's say we gathered Roanoke County on March 15th. So you can choose to take the list from March that's 2 weeks old, or you can choose to wait until April 15th and get a fresh list as your first list. And so there's a little bit of choice in there. We can deliver, in most counties, we can deliver today. if you sign up. The list could be as much as 29 days old if you decide to go backwards, or you could wait until the new list comes. So it'll never be more than a 30-day-old list, and it really depends on how ready you are, like, to take action, whether we start you with the list we already have or the next one coming.
Also, I think I needed to may need to mention, you can expound on it, is that now understand all counties as far as population are not created equally, which means you're going to have less probates in certain counties versus others. You know, it's just all based on population. So you have less people, you're going to have less people that are deceased, less probate. So just understand that, you know, that's a part of it.
And if you're in a rural area or a small city where there's not much wealth, you're also going to find even counties that have 50, 60,000 people might only have 10 or 12 probates a month, because most of them got in under the wire of the small estate exemption. So they don't have to go through probate because their assets weren't worth enough. So, like, especially in middle America, like a lot of rural counties just don't make sense, because it still cost us a couple $100 to get someone out there to gather that data. So, you know, there's some counties where we have 2 or 3 leads a month for $200. Now, there are realtors and investors in some cases that find value in that because they get both deals every month because there's no competition. But like if you're in a major metro or even secondary markets, you're going to see a good amount of lead flow. But if you're on the West Coast, like an example is Santa Clara, California has right at 2 million people in the county. They get 25 leads a month. It's because everyone in California knows 17 or 28 attorneys that are trying to do anything, like set up an estate plan, divorce your wife, you know, whatever it is. So estate planning is extremely common on the West Coast, where in like Cook County, Illinois, well, Long Island is around 2 million people in that county. And there you have, I think, 350 to 375 leads a month. So the same amount of people, almost 10 times, or more than 10 times the amount of probate. So you'll see that, like, if you're surprised by the count in your county, it's probably because estate planning is really common or wealth levels are really low and there's just not that much probate happening.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, Chad, man, we've been going at it about an hour. It's been like 15 minutes, man. You do a really good job at explaining this entire process. I've learned a whole lot. I've left a lot of money on the table again, but that lets you know anybody can do it if I'm doing it. But so yeah, so most definitely, guys, I'm in. It's up to you if you're going to be in. I already got my county locked up and going to do more or whatever. I need to tap into the other services because I thought I was smart enough to go it alone. No. I need the additional services that they offer, which we're going to get in that chat, and I'll get into it later. But guys, if you want to access this service, you don't have to. I think he's explained enough information for you. If you want to go Fred Flintstone and do it on your own, then so be it or whatever. But if you want to simplify this process, and a lot of you all have been asking me about probates over the years, then boom, here you go. So flipprobates.com, you'll be able to access Chad's service, and we'll go from there. Anything else you want to add, Chad, before we end this?
Yeah, I just want to invite everybody. So I mentioned it, I touched on it earlier. We do a probate mastermind call every Thursday at 1 Eastern. And if you go, and we can put this on your page, Ty.
Okay.
It's the same time, same place every Thursday. We get, a couple hundred investors and agents, brokers, financial guys come together, and they bring success stories like what's working, what's not, where am I getting hung up on the phones, and we deal with a lot of different things. And every week I've been doing them for 5 years, and every week I'm shocked that we come up with new, unique content. So if you're just not sure, if you're on the fence or you're not in a position where you can afford this right now, a lot of folks will come to that call week after week, and eventually they get to a point where they're like, all right, this is for me, let's roll. So we give away about 90% of everything we do. and content like this. If you look around alltheleads.com, look at our blog, there's tons of information there. We have over 500 hours of archived conversation just about this. So how do you defeat objections? How do you start conversations? How do you become a transaction engineer and make a deal out of nothing according to everyone else? Like, where do you find opportunity where everyone else is overlooking? And there's a ton of value in those calls. They're all archived. If you go on our website and our YouTube channel, we do have an archive. It's All the Leads is our YouTube channel. You can find all those calls. We've got also the first Wednesday of every month, we do a role play call. And I put myself in the hot seat and it's unmoderated. Anyone can come beat me up.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
We do that every
objection you can't overcome. When I was listening.
So we've got I think we've got like 40 hours of those. So I mean, over 5 years, I've trained thousands of people nationwide, investors, realtors, brokers, and we give most of that away for free. So if you guys aren't quite sure, or you just want to check us out and get a feel for what probate is and what it might look like for you, stop by that call. Come to our mastermind call, come to our role play calls, check out our YouTube channel and our blog stuff. I mean, there's a ton of content. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world you can get as much comprehensive information about this as you can from us. And we're willing to give all that away because we know, like, when you're making money, you'll see value in what we do. Like when you stuff your own envelopes and you go to the courthouse a couple times, you're going to say enough is enough. So we've got a neat community. Also, our Facebook group, if you guys want to jump over there, is All the Leads Mastermind. And we've got about 3,000 investors and agents that are in there helping. And I'll say this, one of the things I'm proud of is we don't have the clash between our investors and our agents, because we blend. Like, I don't train an agent any different than I would train a brand new wholesaler, because the same thing matters. Empathy and looking a man in the eye and actually caring about what you're doing is what really will make you successful. And in there, I'm part of a lot of real estate communities on Facebook, and I see, realtors typically don't trust wholesalers and wholesalers don't trust realtors, and it's a lot different over on it's a different culture where we're at. So don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey guys, I heard this thing with Ty and Chad, like, how do you do this? And I guarantee you within 5 minutes, somebody will jump up and help you with your question. If it's not us, it'll be one of our subscribers.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And they know the battle I have with realtors. Not that I don't like them. I just, well, what's the deal? We're not doing anything illegal as wholesalers. We're sitting down with the same title company, closing attorneys that you are to do deals. Or you think they're putting their livelihood at jeopardy for me? No. So, but again,
it's a perception problem, man. Yeah. Like, if I'll say this, I've been licensed in 4 different states, and I didn't even know what wholesaling was because I was in like high-end development. I had no idea what wholesaling was. What was most shocking to me when I learned about wholesaling and started going to REIAs and started meeting all the investors in town, they hated realtors and they didn't know any realtors, and they left so much freaking money on the table because of that. And I'm like, why is there this massive divide between the two? And I have made more money because I'm the realtor that provides real value to the investors. Like, I was brand new in this town, didn't know a soul. It was kind of like that, if I dropped you from a plane tomorrow with $100, how would you start? That's kind of how I got my start here. Like, I went to the REIA, I found a way to provide value, and I think I still hold the record. I sold like 58 houses in one deal just because I understood the investors and I helped them anywhere I could. And if you're a realtor listening to this, step up, man. Like, and instead of judging investors, go get to know them, go understand them. Like, until you understand their business model, don't be a critic. Like, because chances are I'd say 95% of realtors that I know have no clue what a wholesaler does on a day-to-day basis or what that business actually looks like. And they've never sat in front of a homeowner that you may as well, they do not want to hear about listing. They don't want to hear about as is. They don't want to hear about conventional. When you have a motivated seller, you know damn well in the first 30 seconds if you're buying that house or not. And the ones that are going to sell for that wholesale price, they're never going to list with a realtor, and vice versa. Like, the ones that are hanging on for top equity, they're never going to, it doesn't matter how good of a negotiator you are, refer them to a realtor. And I'll get off my soapbox, but
You sound like it, man.
And if you guys don't have a realtor that you love, go find one. We're out there. It's a small percentage of the industry.
Small percentage. That means there's a lot of opportunities out there for struggling agents, man. There's a lot of struggling agents. You know what I'm saying? It just, and man, it just clears the bell to me. If I was an agent, once I understood, I'm like, wow, this person can bring me deals every month. Or I can provide him deals instead of me going out trying to get a listing. I may never see those people again on that transaction again, because they may stay in that house 15 years and that doesn't mean they're going to call me back 15 years from now or whatever. So, but anyway, man, but hey, we can talk. That's a whole nother show in itself.
Let's do it.
We've done almost an hour.
I'm pretty opinionated on that one.
Yeah. Oh my God. You just don't know. Hey, people watching this, they already know. Yeah, man, we probably gonna have to do another one of these because we may have to do a live deal so people can ask their questions or whatever. So we'll put that together. We'll talk it up or whatever. So again, Chad, man, you've given us an hour of information, guys. If you want to access these services, the mastermind is free, which I'm going to add it to the site, flipprobates.com. Took me about a week to come up with that name. I couldn't believe it was available. But anyway, so hey guys, you wanted to know about probate, you've been bugging me about it. I've been like, I don't do that, I don't want to go down to the courthouse. So now we've eliminated going down to the courthouse. Hey, it's up to you now, to you guys that want it. I'm all over it because I've shunned from it. The only time I dealt with probation is in the way it is here in Alabama. I guess you probably know, Chad. They will allow heir affidavits, if all of the heirs are on the same page with selling it. So a lot of times you don't have to go through that process. Title company will insure it or whatever, and boom. So I think I'm saying that right or whatever. But
as long as they buy a fidelity bond, they can release the money at any stage of the probate. So
okay, cool. All right. So that's what's up, man. So again, guys, flipprobates.com. You can get over there to Chad's information to sign up. They will be happy to answer any questions that you have about what they offer beyond what we've already seen here, which he's provided a lot. And again, Chad, I really appreciate you, man, for offering your time. And guys, we'll see you on the flip side.
Sure, man. Thanks, Ty.